Hi everyone. So, my third live client spotlight. This one's really exciting. I've known Gayle since middle school, so primary school, since we were about 10. And it's been really nice to catch up with her actually. She came to see me a couple of years ago to get her eyebrows done. Um, and then actually as time has gone on, we've actually got a much closer friendship because of our kind of combined effort, as it were, with regards to experiencing perimenopause and menopause symptoms at the same time. Just to bring you up to date with my situation, basically 6 years ago, my mum was diagnosed with ovarian cancer and had to go through some horrific surgery. She had a full hysterectomy. I mean, mum was in her 60s when she was diagnosed, so she'd gone through the menopause. But ovarian cancer, my nan, her mum had died of it, and my nan's sister had died of it. And then my mum got it. So it was kind of my nemesis. And then suddenly I was hit with the reality that actually mum had got the same illness that her mum had died of. So she was taken in, had all the surgery. She was on chemo. We were basically told that she was never going to be cancer free. 6 years on, she's still fighting. She's still having chemo. It's an ongoing battle that my mum faces. And alongside that, I'm being faced with the fact that ultimately every single woman in her family has had this illness, and I didn't want to have it. So after I'd lost Chloe, our first baby, I went on to have George and Elodie. Both of them were preterm, and I had quite a lot of complications with that. Um, I realised after getting those two here and alive that was my lot when it came to having children. So my oncologist actually sat me down and said, possibly it might be an option to have a hysterectomy when I felt ready to, because there was no way I was going to have more children. So that was something that I kind of sat and thought about. And so what is George now? Elodie's 6, so 6 years down the line, this January I had my hysterectomy. And I'd spent a lot of time talking with my clients about how they coped with menopause, and I knew I was going to be faced with a medical menopause and been thrown straight out of surgery. They were going to remove my ovaries, and that would be that. I'd be straight into the menopause, and it scared me a lot. So in came Gayle with lots of information and lots of facts. So I am going to bring Gayle in, and we are gonna share kind of our separate experiences when it comes to menopause and what she's then gone on to achieve, and what she's doing helping other women with their menopause journey. So let's, fingers crossed, there we go. Are we there?
Hello.
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 How are you doing?
Yeah, good. You?
I'm all right. Yeah, good, really good.
Good. Thank you for having me.
So I basically, and you, I've just been telling everyone about my side of things and what got me to where I am now and why I had my hysterectomy with regards to my mum's surgery. So I was kind of forced into a medical menopause, which was like full blown 100%. The surgeons obviously were they told me I'd wake up with hot flushes. So they put me straight onto HRT. But you had a very different journey, didn't you? Can you hear me, Gayle? Hello.
It's a bit very quickly, very botty. Don't know whether me. Sorry.
That's all right. Can you hear me? We may have to log back out and come in. Are you there? Hello. You there, Gayle?
If it's a bit of a sound thing.
Oh, there we go.
So I walked Oh, are you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Hang on. Yeah, it's kind of stopped. I might have to move. Hang on.
I've got you back. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's just really crackly my end. I'll just carry on though. That's fine.
Yeah, carry on.
So I walked smack bang into the perimenopause without even what, to be honest. At the end of 2018, I think it was, my period started changing quite dramatically, which I never really made the connection between that and being perimenopausal, because I didn't actually know I didn't even know that perimenopause existed, to be honest.
Yeah.
So my periods at the end of 2018 really started to change, but I didn't really think anything of it. It wasn't until the beginning of 2019, so last year, that actually things really started changing for me cognitively. So at work, I was finding it very, very difficult to cope with anything. Like literally, I was a teacher, working with very challenging young people, and quite a stressful job anyway. But the problem I started having was forgetfulness, brain, anxiety. I was going into meetings and not being able to remember really important information about individual students. And I didn't really know what was going on. I was a bit scared, to be honest. It came as such a shock. I just thought, what is wrong with me? You know, what is going on? So my ability to kind of cope at work was compromised to start with, and my mood swings really started changing. I think I've mentioned anxiety already. I was sort of quite tearful. I just couldn't cope, and then I thought I was stressed.
That you were kind of. Did you think that you were suffering with sort of depression and that going down that sort of route? Because I know a lot of my clients come and they'll say, "Oh, I think I need to go to the doctor and get antidepressants." It's this whole thing of all the GPs put me on antidepressants, and a lot of the time I think to myself, that sounds more like hormones than it does antidepressants.
Yeah, absolutely. So I thought I was stressed with work. So it was coming up to the Easter holidays, and I thought, I'm just burnt out. I need a break. So we were going on a family holiday, my husband, 2 stepkids, and I thought, I'll be fine. We'll go on a holiday. Well, it was a holiday. It was the holiday of hell, actually, because my symptoms just got worse and worse and worse. And where we were supposed to be relaxing, I was just becoming, hyper anxious, really forgetful, couldn't make decisions about things. We're going for lunch. Where do you want to go? I don't know. Over worrying about things, and just thinking to myself, I just can't cope. So I started drinking more alcohol during the holiday, thinking, oh yeah, have a few wines and I'll try and relax. Just didn't happen. And I was in a fog. I was in that sort of horrible, like you say, that sort of depressed state. I wasn't myself, but I didn't really know what was wrong. And I just thought, okay, there is definitely something wrong. I need to go get some help. And it was my mum actually that suggested I went to the doctors to try and get some help, because it might be to do with the menopause. Now, bearing in mind,
Were you on any sort of, were you on the pill or any contraception or anything, hormone things then? No. So
haven't been on any contraception for years and years and years. So nothing, nothing was affecting my body as such. And I was thinking, well, what is it? I'm newly married. I'm really happy. I had previously enjoyed my job. My job, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Couldn't get enough of it. And all of a sudden, just everything just changed. I just felt like a different person, if I'm absolutely honest. I just felt like a completely different version of me. And I did go to the doctors to see, what they might make of it. And because my mum had mentioned about the menopause, bearing in mind, this is the weird thing, and this is what I want to find out from other people as well, is my mum and I are really close, and we talked about everything, but we didn't talk about the menopause. Now, why is that? You know, we used to talk about periods, about boys, about sex, about, you know, you name it. I could go to my mum about anything, but we just didn't talk about the menopause. And it wasn't because it was taboo, which I know it is in some scenarios, but it wasn't that it was, it just wasn't, it's just not something that was on my radar at all. So to sort of think about, right, okay, this could be to do with the menopause, I was like, right, okay, I've got to get my head around this.
Did your mum suggest it could be? Had she struggled with the menopause herself?
Well, interestingly, as you know, Sophia, I am one of 6, and my mum, it always felt like my mum was pregnant when I was a kid. You know, she was always having another baby. Yeah, you know, she was always either pregnant, you know, hormonal, you know, for her, I think what happened with the menopause, now I've spoken to her about it, is that it all merged into one. So she had very heavy periods like I did, and she had migraines. But for her, they didn't last very long, and she thinks that she was kind of done and dusted with her menopause by the time she was about 45. Well, bearing in mind,
same with my mum.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My mum didn't think, my mum didn't recognise any symptoms at all. She didn't even think she'd been through it. But it actually, if you speak to my dad, who says very little about anything, he always chokes and says, "You've got to be joking." You know, I just remember at a certain point in my kind of, when I was a teenager, my mum was just angry all the time, just angry. Mind you, if you lived with my brother, you'd be angry, but I totally blame him. I don't think it was the menopause. I think it was just Oliver.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because one of my sisters, my younger sisters, that was her memory of mum. There was a space in you know, in our childhood that she was always angry. I do remember a bit about. Yeah, like she threw a plate at my dad once, you know, and yeah, you know, seriously. I mean, yeah, not funny at the time, but when you look back on it, you sort of think, oh, actually, well, maybe, you know, maybe it was around that time. But she just got on with it and dealt with it, and just didn't really go for any help. And I think she knew it was the menopause, but she tells me now that she thinks she was out the other side by the time 45. Well, I'm 44, so if you're thinking 2 years ago, you know, that was 42. It's relatively early to be even start, you know, thinking about being menopausal. It just wasn't on my radar at all.
No. So go through again.
So she
so go through your symptoms again, because I know a lot of people, when I suggest to friends, I think you're perimenopausal and I think you need to go to the doctor and maybe talk to him about getting some hormone help. They're kind of like, no, I'm sure I'm not. But run through again what you had, because I'm a bit different, where I had this full hysterectomy and overnight went thrown into it, but you've actually had this process again. So you had like migraine headaches, and were they like kind of, they were at various points through the month? You could probably pinpoint when you were going to get one.
Definitely. So hormonal related headaches, definitely, which coincided with my cycle, which up until the point where they started to change, my cycle was sort of every 24 to 27-ish days, I think, if I can remember rightly. Sort of between sort of 21 and 24 days. So every 3 weeks. So I was starting to get monthly headaches, flooding like you wouldn't believe. So I was at work, so bearing in mind I was a teacher, and I remember talking to the headmaster of the school, and just this big gush, like, literally, and I'm like, I'm really sorry, Dave, I've got to go. And I literally scooted off, went to the toilet. Nothing was going to help me apart from I had to go and buy a whole new set of clothes, you know, knickers, trousers, you name it, absolutely everywhere. That happened several times. And then, so my periods started changing. So they became more frequent to begin with. Then they stopped completely at the beginning of the following year, in about January. I was mood swings, anxious, low mood, low motivation, fatigue, like you wouldn't believe. Like I just couldn't get out of bed.
Yeah, tired.
Yeah, absolutely. All of that was just, I just didn't really want to be here anymore. I was just sort of functioning, you know, just kind of trying to get up and so
I had very similar to all of those things, which makes me think, even though I was booked in for the hysterectomy for a year, I actually started showing all these signs, and I was getting to the point where I was really anemic. I had really low vitamin D, so I was vitamin D deficient, really anemic. They were doing all these tests, and actually, when you look at perimenopause, I ticked every box. So I was kind of, when people say to me, how do I feel about going in and having a hysterectomy? I actually think I'm acceptant of it. I think I was there anyway, and it was an, you know, I said to you earlier on, it's not, the menopause isn't an illness, and it's not depression that might hit you. At the end of the day, every single woman, 51% of our population of this planet, are going to go through the menopause in some way or form. We've got to accept it, and I just can't believe there isn't the support out there for us.
Absolutely, and that is part of the problem. That's what I found as part of my journey when I went to the doctor, a male doctor, I have to say. He pretty much dismissed the menopause when I suggested it. He said, you're nowhere near the average age. The average age in this country is 51. You're only 40, so I was 43 at the time. Gave me the depression tick list, you know, like if they suspect that you're depressed, then there's you know, a form that you fill out. Pretty so I
did you pass all of that?
And he said, I think you're depressed. Pardon?
You passed all the depression things then, or not?
Sound's gone. Yeah.
Did you pass all the depression bits?
Said, you're depressed. Did I what?
Did you pass all the depression things, or did you tick? How was it?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I ticked it all, and by all accounts, he thought I was depressed. Yeah. He was diagnosing me with depression, not relating it at all to the menopause. Told me that I was stressed. It was work-related stress. I needed some antidepressants and some talking therapy, and literally just packed me off, sent me home, and I went home and burst into tears and just thought, okay, so I understand that I am going through a depressive state as such, but I don't think I'm depressed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And I get clients coming in. Yeah, I get clients coming in and they're put on antidepressants. And I'm thinking to myself, the GPs seem to be trying to fix the symptom and not deal with what the cause is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing is that antidepressants are just handed out because they're a quick fix. They're just, okay, you've come with this problem, you're presenting with this problem here, have these antidepressants, off you go. So I did listen to what he said, and I thought, I do need to have some therapy being, and my my cognitive was just, I'm a very competent person, very confident. I was, and it just completely changed me. And I just think that I did need to go and talk to somebody about it. Sorry, I just had a little message there.
Did you see Avril?
I probably did need to talk to somebody about it because I wasn't managing.
Have you seen the message that just popped up about Avril? So she says her menopause. Can you see the message that pops up from Avril that says her symptoms started when she was about 38 and she was diagnosed at 40?
Right. Yeah, no, I have.
So she's been on HRT. She was 38 when she was diagnosed, No, she was 38 when she got symptoms, diagnosed at 40, and she's been on HRT ever since then. So it happens
right,
it happens
well,
to people really early.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think there is some women go through a very early menopause, but yeah, it can be any time. I know there's premature ovarian insufficiency, which people can suffer from, which I know younger women can suffer with that. But you can start the journey, and anything anything up to 50 before you actually become menopausal. Because when you're menopausal, all that means is that you haven't had a period for a year and a day. Actually, that's what they say.
Is that what they say?
So the fluctuation in your periods as well, your hormones are all over the place, so your periods might stop, they might become heavier, they might start again. This is what happened with me. They stopped, they started again. Now they're really infrequent, they come whenever they feel like it. And I could, so I really wanted to get it sorted. I went to see another doctor, a lady doctor, in this week actually, but I just wasn't happy with the diagnosis that I had been. And I had hoped that by a lady doctor, there might be a little bit more sympathy, empathy,
understanding.
But she pretty much said the same.
Yeah. So from that point,
she pretty much said the same. She said, you can't be menopausal. You're.
So can you hear me, Gayle? You got that?
Yeah.
Is that
I'm
better?
just thinking about moving. I don't know whether that
so from that point, from going to see the GP, and so how long ago was this? This was over a year ago.
Yeah, so that was April last year.
So then at what stage?
Sorry.
I feel like you. That's all right. I feel like you've been doing your Meno classes for what seems like forever.
Oh no, only since I launched last September. Was it September? Yeah, last September.
So how did this come about? How did it happen?
I think I trained. So basically what happened, when there wasn't really any support out there, I started a menopause cafe in my local town in autumn. So I really needed people to talk to, and I thought to myself, I can't be the only person in this situation. There must be, need somebody to talk to. So I started the menopause cafe myself, and obviously give the support to other people. But then what happened was I was trying to get out of my sort of funk. I mean, I call it my Meno meltdown now, really. I can sort of say that now, but I started exercising. We used to run quite a fair bit together, so I was running, and that was fine, but it wasn't really doing the trick. I needed to go and do something else, so I started Zumba, and I'm terrible at Zumba, so like really just can't keep up at all. But I loved it. Honestly, yeah, it sounds really weird because now I teach fitness classes. I do have some coordination.
I'm the one that goes the wrong way.
I go to Zumba, and it really, really helped. Yeah, going in the opposite direction. So I went to Zumba, and it made me feel so. Yeah, but it made me feel so much better to go do some exercise. The feel good endorphins were coming back. But what I noticed at the class, you'd kind of bowl into the class. I wouldn't even know the woman next to me, what her name was. We didn't really get very friendly as such. You're just in, you're out. And I sort of started thinking, actually, I think women need support around menopause, you know, to exercise and to have a chat about it. So we're sort of thinking about the menopause cafe, thinking about how exercise had helped me, and it started to help my symptoms a little bit because it just made me feel better. And I came across, which is the company that I work through, and it was a pilot scheme that they were starting up to train Meno leaders, basically to help with, you know, giving classes. But the difference is it's not just an exercise class, it's education, it's support and exercise. So it's a 15-minute chat about menopausal symptoms. So you can actually build a bit of a community, a support
And a bit,
network,
a bit of a
going
team around you, and
and and initially you're talking to complete strangers, you know, about dry vaginas and you know, your anxieties and, you know, really kind of deep personal things. It's what happens. It's what happens in a MenoClass. It's not all dry. It's yeah, exactly. Trust me, it's not all dry vaginas, I have to say. But you know, that aside, we're talking about we're opening up and talking about really personal experiences about our anxieties, about depression, about, you know, mood swings, that kind of thing. And it really, really works. Then we do some exercise. You still with me, Sophia?
You've disappeared off the screen, but I can still hear you.
I know. I can hear you better now, weirdly. That's a bit strange.
Yeah, so can I.
Oh, well, I'll just carry on then. I don't mind not being able to. Can you see me?
No, I can't. You've disappeared off the screen, but yeah, the sound's got a lot better. So I don't know. Can everyone hear Gayle?
I hope so.
Can anyone just let me know? I think it's a bit delayed because everyone's saying, "Oh my God, Claire Kerr, oh my God, shush, Claire." Somebody said she's just said vagina.
Oh God.
Oh, brilliant. So everyone let me know that you can hear Gayle, at least that she can carry on. I can hear her. So Fiona said she could hear you. So carry on, Gayle.
Oh, that's good. So yeah, I mean, it isn't all about dry vaginas, but we do talk about dry vaginas, and we talk about, you know, I know, see, isn't it mad? You know, women, you know, find it quite difficult and a little bit embarrassing to talk about, you know, a part of the anatomy that is really, really important. But
Sally Roberts says dry vaginas are more solvable than erectile dysfunction. Let's just chuck that in there. I want to go to the MenoClass. Brilliant.
I know we do have a laugh, actually. And I mean, the thing is, the concept may sound a little strange to start talking to complete strangers about, you know, what you're going through, but it works for some women. And then the exercise obviously is equally important, because during the menopause we need to exercise more. So, you know, one of the, you know, well, I mean, there's loads of symptoms that exercise can help combat, you know, weight gain, confidence, you know, we're looking at muscle tone, we're looking at strength, we're looking at osteoporosis. You know, the bone density issue is an issue, you know, throughout the menopause and afterwards. And an exercise class, you know, weight bearing exercises, low, medium or high impact exercise, which a MenoClass covers all of those, is something that, you know, we all need to be really thinking about. You know, we know that exercise is important anyway, you know, just for cardiovascular and heart health, but in the menopause even more so, I would say.
That was one of the reasons why my consultant, when I had my surgery, my consultant was absolutely adamant that he was not going to do the hysterectomy and remove my ovaries unless I agreed to go straight on HRT. And he said solely for the reason of the osteoporosis risk and my age. So I'm 44. He said there's no way I'm removing your ovaries at this point in your life without protecting you from osteoporosis.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is one of the benefits of taking HRT, which I know some women are against HRT, taking HRT, because they're worried about, the breast cancer scare and, the risk, which the risk is so, so small. And in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, because I have done lots of research around it, after a long period of time, I have to say, after thinking to myself that actually I'd go down the natural route,
Yeah.
the benefits far outweigh the risks. So
Yeah.
HRT can protect against osteoporosis, heart disease, dementia as well. So, as well as helping all of the symptoms that we may be struggling with as well. And I know some ladies can't take HRT, and I understand that, but it's a bit like the menopause. It's a bit of a debate, isn't it? The whole HRT. And I think the issue that we've got as well is that this is what I've experienced just recently with my GP, the one who wasn't very helpful in the first place. When I went back, and this will make you laugh, I had to sort of organise my own review, if you like. So when I finally, when they said, okay, we'll give you a blood test to see what your hormone levels are doing, I thought, well, I better go back for a review. Why haven't they asked me to go back to see how I'm doing? And by the way, I didn't take any antidepressants. I did for a short while go take St. John's wort, because I thought I wanted to do the natural thing, but that didn't work for me.
I remember you telling me to take that, and I didn't find it did anything at all.
Well, it made me a bit zombie-like, and it made me
Yeah.
feel like I wasn't really in the room. I wasn't really present. I didn't.
Yeah, cotton wool. I felt like I had cotton wool head.
Yes, absolutely, exactly that. So that didn't work for me. So when I went back for my review, which I had to organise myself, I went back and just said, look, okay, so I'm still having these symptoms. You've said that it's work-related stress. I now no longer do that job. I've skipped ahead a little bit now, but the long and short of it was I ended up leaving my teaching job because my symptoms got so bad. I didn't feel like I could cope in the workplace anymore. So I ended up leaving in the summer term. So last July it would have been. And when I went back for my review, the doctor sort of said to me, well, what do you want? HRT, I expect, just like that.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, actually, you're not even asking me what I want, but actually, if HRT is something that you could offer me, then I may consider it.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, I wasn't ready for HRT. I hadn't really decided then whether I was going to go down the HRT route.
Yeah.
But what I decided to do was take the prescription anyway and go with it. And if I wanted to start taking it at any time, then I would. And they sat in my cupboard for quite some time while I explored lots of other avenues, if you like, natural supplements.
I think though you can. So I'm on the estrol patches where I just stick a little sticker on. So I had my hysterectomy in January, and they gave me a tiny little dose. It was like 50 milligrams every 2 micrograms. Sorry, I have to change it twice a week. But these patches are they're becoming really sparse and really difficult to get hold of. So I was getting, even just way back then, I was getting really panicky, like what happens if I don't get the stock of it? And you kind of get really reliant on it. So when lockdown hit at the beginning of March, that's where I was like, oh my God, everyone's going to be desperate. And literally then I started panicking, and the old anxiety starts going up. And actually the HRT kind of treatment in itself started to cause me anxiety, with me thinking, am I going to get it? Because I don't want to then start disintegrating. So I actually decided to see how I'd cope without the HRT patches. Bearing in mind, I'd not had a single symptom post-operation. So before my operation, I was getting all the flooding and all the headaches and all the clots and the iron and deficiency. So straight after I literally haven't bled. I mean, I wear my white jeans with pride now, with no fear. I mean, it is absolutely amazing. I literally binned all of my sanitary things. I think
Yeah.
I gave them to the neighbour, like, have them, just passing them out in the street. Take them all. I had not needed. It was bloody amazing, and I haven't bled since. But what I found over the last sort of 4 months, I have realised, and this is where my knowledge comes in. I know more about the skin than anything else, and the
Yeah.
hair.
Yeah.
And I've been really conscious of the fact, is my hair thinning? Because that's where a lot of my clients come to me, and they've got post-menopause hair loss.
Yeah.
I'd already had my eyebrows done, so my eyebrows weren't an issue. Eyelashes, I've been using the Revitalash, so I've been using the thickening agents and the volumizing for my lashes. But I've not
Yeah.
noticed my hair going. Yeah, the thing with me is it's the other side, the other end of it. I've been noticing hair around my jawline, as in my the fluffy vellus hair there. I've noticed that's getting coarser and going darker. So I'm now
Yeah.
going down the route of looking into sort of laser and what's better for waxing. The other thing I found is pigmentation. I'm getting hyperpigmentation around my jawline. I'm
Yeah.
getting sunspots. I never wear
Me
sun cream, and I should, but I'm
too.
getting sun patches all the time.
Yeah, you're so naughty. Why
I
don't
know,
you?
totally, absolutely, but it's now that I'm noticing since January, so just this year. So I know it's to do with hormones. And
Yeah,
then,
absolutely.
like I was saying to you earlier, when I cut my HRT down, the patches down, just to see what would happen, I wanted to see if I was going to get hot flashes and if I was going to get anything, because I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe I don't need them. It
Yeah.
was, my skin felt like it was crawling.
Yeah.
And I just literally put on a lesser dose. I didn't stop completely. I didn't take them off completely. I literally just reduced the
No,
dose down,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
it felt like I was sunburned. It's all around my neck. My neck felt weird. It felt thin. It
Yeah.
was sensitive to touch. It's horrible. So I know I needed that. And then actually my mood started to get worse. And I think with lockdown and the anxiety and things
Yeah.
started kicking in. So I've noticed my tempers, it's just not there. I fire up at anything. So I'm
Yeah.
kind of thinking to myself, I probably need to go and get the dose adjusted,
Yeah.
and get it up to a level. But there is you've got the ability to do this, and with gels and things you can add, and you can do a lot
Yeah.
yourself with regard to adjusting things yourself.
Yeah. The
um
transdermal, isn't it? I have a
yeah,
gel actually. And weirdly, I mean, I was a bit like you with the whole lockdown scenario.
yeah,
I hadn't started take I hadn't taken HRT before lockdown, but I used lockdown as a as a an opportunity really to see, okay, I'm just going to be in lockdown, so I may as well see how this HRT is going to affect me.
yeah,
The doctor, that packet that I'd put away in the cupboard for months and months, I dragged it out and thought, right, I'm going to go for this. And I started taking the tablets for a couple of weeks, the estrogen and the progesterone. And then I came and found this wonderful menopause doctor. She's actually the menopause nurse. I found her online. She's absolutely wonderful. And I had a
is this Louise Newson or is this somebody
no,
else?
not Louise Newson. So this is Ruth Crawford, and she is just brilliant. She's like an angel. I don't know whether she might be on or not. I don't. She said she might be joining this evening, but I had a consultation with her online and then over the phone. She's absolutely wonderful. She prescribed me the gel and vaginal pessaries for the testosterone, because that's to do with lack of libido, so low sex
Right.
drive, and then progesterone at certain times. So you take that for like 2 weeks of your cycle. And I'm on that regime now, which my GP ended up writing the prescription for, but Ruth actually
Told
suggested
them what
all
to
of
do.
those.
Yes, yeah.
That is yeah, and that is working beautifully for me. But right up until lockdown, for the last year, I have been trying to manage my symptoms myself. You name it, I've done it. So, from changing my diet to exercising, the natural route. I mean, I've tried all sorts of natural supplements, seed cycling, which is a very sort of gentle, natural hormone sort of balancer, if you like. Really anything apart from HRT. I've just been, trying absolutely everything. But I've got to the stage now where I feel like I've exhausted everything, and that I do need that extra something to help me, because ladies, I'm telling you, it's just not worth it. It's not worth going through it and just kind of just putting up with it. You don't have to. You can go and get help. And how hard it is, that's one thing I will say to people. I've had to go back to the doctors 2, 3, 4 times to get what I need, and really I've had to arm myself with lots of information and lots of education before I've gone back in there. Because when the doctor gave me the HRT, I went in with the NICE guidelines, which are basically the guidelines that, the medical guidelines that tell you what a GP should be advising you around HRT. And I went in with this, kind of like document. She didn't even, I didn't even have to speak to her about it in the end, because I think she just thought, oh, she means business.
Yeah.
And that's when she suggested HRT, which I thought was a bit strange, because prior to that, she had just told me that it was work-based stress, and I wasn't menopausal. So I just kept going and going. And really, along this journey, I've just had to scrabble around and find my own information. And I'm like Fear, I'm very proactive. I'm not just going to sit around and go, oh, okay, then that's fine. I'm going to go out there, and if it's not happening, I'll make it happen myself. So, the Menopause Cafe, the MenoClasses, I feel like because I've struggled, I don't want other people to struggle. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was a bit like, had the same kind of, it's the same mentality as me, where when we had the stillbirth, finding out, realizing that so many other people suffer stillbirth, go through them, but nobody talks about it. It's this massive taboo. And it's actually when you've got the gift of a massive gob like me and you have, we have to use it.
well, yeah, absolutely. And people probably get sick to death of me talking about the menopause, but I'm so passionate and keen to educate myself, and educate other people, and just talk about it. Even if you don't really understand what's going on, just talking about it between ourselves, and not just women either. I think it's so important that men get on board as well. And I'm so lucky, because I've got an amazing husband. Literally, we were married 9 months, and then I hit the menopause, and it was like bang, she turned into a completely different person. And it's been hard. It's been a real struggle for both of us, but he's been brilliant. He's got on board with it. He's trying to understand, not just put up with it. He's trying to understand with which has just been, it's just been brilliant. And the other thing I'm really keen to do is talk to younger women about it, so that they know what to expect. So that they know what's coming, because I don't feel like I did really. I feel like I sort of missed out.
I think it's really important to involve the discussion of this type of thing in schools, because when I, like I say, going back to the stillbirth, I've always thought that the conversation of babies' movements, even at school age, so children know, and it's ingrained in them. They're aware of it. They're aware of this process in life that we're going to go through. So actually, to be aware of menopause, to know that your mum's going to go through this, and actually they're not just miserable cows at home that moan at you all the time and throw things around and get stroppy.
Plates at your dad,
exactly. It never dawned on me. I just thought my mum was an absolute lunatic, and everyone said I was like my mum, so I just thought, well, I'm going to be an absolute lunatic. And actually, it's a tough thing for us all to face. I keep saying I'm going to come back a man next time, definitely.
But if you think about it as well, not only do we go through it, but it's the knock-on effect of other people. So it's husbands, it's partners, it's wives, it's children, it's your siblings, your family, your work colleagues. It is going to have a knock-on effect massively to everybody that you're in any kind of contact
Yeah.
with, because your behavior may change. Anything about you is quite likely to change. For some, I mean, some people breeze through the menopause.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful, and that's amazing, and I'm that's absolutely fine. But some people really, really struggle with it, and I just think, like you say, I've got a big mouth, I like talking about it, and so
Yeah, and it's important.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I think with HRT as well, Patsy, we've got Patsy Parton who's joined us, and she's made the good point that HRT is it's something that you're on for life. It's not just a quick fix. I mean, I've said to a lot of people when they are on antidepressants, and I've always thought depression isn't it shouldn't be a stigma. I always think depression is a chemical imbalance, and it's the same as it's the same as menopause. It's this hormone imbalance, and these things actually. Oh, it says Patsy Parton is actually Ruth. It's Ruth. She's got an alias.
I think that's her pseudonym, isn't it?
There we go. So hi, Ruth. So
so
it's something like the HRT it's an ongoing, a long-term treatment that can be adjusted as your hormone levels change.
Absolutely.
I don't think it's something that we need to be kind of embarrassed about. And I'm not talking menopause as such. I'm talking about being on HRT. I mean, I tell everyone, that's what I was planning to do, and I was aware of it right from the minute that I knew I was going to have the hysterectomy.
But that's interesting you say that, Sophia, because for such a long time I was on this kind of, I'm going to go down the natural route. I don't know why. I've questioned myself so many times. Why didn't I just say, okay, I'm having these symptoms, why don't I go and see if I can get some HRT? And I'll tell you why that may be, because I didn't understand. I thought you had to be really, really bad to be on it. Well, actually, as it turns out, I was really, really suffering with my symptoms. But actually with HRT, you can have very mild symptoms and still have some kind of HRT, is my understanding. You don't have to wait till the bitter end, until you're absolutely dragging your ass across the floor just to survive, which is kind of.
And is it this stigmatism that we think HRT is for people who have gone through the menopause and out the other side? Is it the fact that we think that we've got to get to the point where we are through it to get help, whereas actually perimenopause is the journey up the hill, that we need the help up the hill to get over the peak and down again, as it were?
And actually, my understanding for some people is that the perimenopause is harder,
worse than
the menopause and post for some people. And my point is, if I'm going to be feeling like this for the next 5-10 years, I there's no way that I could have coped with life without. And now I've taken the HRT route, I really feel thankful that actually I stuck with that and kind of went, you know what, I'm just going to keep going and try everything to see what works. And but it is choice, isn't it? It's an absolute choice to go on HRT or not. There's no right or wrong at all. But I feel like I exhausted every avenue. But having said that, some good has come out of it, because I've really cleaned up my diet. My alcohol consumption has reduced. I was saying to you earlier, I'm gutted because one glass of wine of an evening now, I'm fast asleep on the sofa. I mean, I used to be able to literally, bottle of wine, no problem. Seriously. So now alcohol for me, it's not a no, but it's just, I've reduced it. I don't eat meat anymore. I don't drink dairy. I drink soya, and that's
I drink soya because it's higher in estrogen. I've heard that.
I try as much as I can to keep my blood sugar levels, as on a level as I can. So don't go crazy with the sugar, because that
I cut out sweeteners and dairy. So tea, I literally have the sweetener and the dairy. That's really sorted out the bloating that I used to have.
Yeah. Oh, that was a massive issue with me. I was bloating and flatulence as well.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That was a rather posh way
And
to say
Sally's
gosh.
just said it's the sun. Sally said the sun for her, so that's like your vitamin D deficiency.
Yeah, now that was interesting because that's what the doctors did say, that I was really low in vitamin D as well. So I'm boosting that. So I'm taking a supplement for that. That's a really good point. Yeah, about the sun. What else have I done? I'm just trying to think what else I've done in this whole year. Exercise. I don't get the hot flushes anymore at all, but I took some natural supplements for that, like black cohosh is meant to be quite good for that, and sage. I have taken sage tablets over the last year or so. But I really feel like the HRT for me has just been, it's just been brilliant. Have I gone really dark? Is it really dark? Can you still see?
Well, no, I can't see you. Your camera's not on, so everyone's just been looking at me and hearing you. This is my ideal. It's like heaven. The narcissist in me has come out.
I was just going to say, because I don't have a light on, I'll have to go and turn it on because it's really dark. But if you can't see me, it really doesn't matter at all.
No.
Just thinking about the hair loss then. So you have people come to you, obviously, what? Because, like, say their eyebrows, for example.
No, literally, I have women, mainly eyebrows. So a lot of women lose eyebrows, eyelashes. But some of my clients, in really severe cases, literally get male pattern balding. So literally, the top part of their hair you lose hair like men do as they get older. These poor women are left with nothing. You can literally see. I mean, you've probably seen women, and you think to yourself, "My God, that poor woman's gone really bald." It's actually hormonal. There is a condition called frontal fibrosing alopecia, where the hairline goes back and it's completely smooth, and literally the hairline's right back. That's not necessarily related to hormones, although quite a lot of most hormone women do get it. But the thinning in the hair and just the receding hairline here, I get a lot of. So that's where I do the scalp micropigmentation, which it kind of implants a shadow in, so it makes it less obvious that you've lost the hair there. And obviously the semi-permanent makeup. And then you've got the Revitalash and things like that. I'm looking at introducing treatments. There's a company there's Meso Estetica who do Cosmelan, which is a really good treatment for the hyperpigmentation. I'm being really selfish and researching treatments that I would want myself, basically. But so many people are suffering the same as I am. So I'm kind of finding things that I know I would want, and so many people are wanting it as well.
But to be honest with you, Sophia, that's exactly what I've done with the MenoClasses. So for me, exercise and talking helped. So okay, what that in a way it's selfish. In a selfish kind of way, I do it for myself as much as I do other people, because it's my lifeline. It's I've got this lovely band of ladies now that I work with. That is increasing, and if anybody wants any information, obviously just like get in contact with me. The classes are really easy to
so the classes, Avril, let me just ask you this, because Avril's just asked, do you have you heard of, or do you have bone density scans? Because Avril's been on HRT since she was 38, so I don't know if she's going to divulge how old she is now, but for quite a few years. Now, when I last spoke to Avril, she was saying she's not sure whether she needs to come off the HRT, but actually I'm thinking possibly from what you're saying, and what I'm thinking in my instinct would be, no, you wouldn't come off, but you might want to change what you're taking, because I think she's on a tablet. She might want to, I don't know, she probably wants to go and speak and get a review on it.
Well, either get a review or speak to Patsy, who's been online tonight, because she is absolutely amazing, and she's got all the time in the world for any woman who is having any kind of issue around the menopause. Obviously I can't really answer that, but
okay. So if I put the link for Ruth, or Ruth gets in touch with me, then I can add that to my blog when this goes onto the blog.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And what was I going to say about that? That's another thing, the Meno mind. That's an interesting thing. Yeah, but I think what Patsy was saying earlier about HRT and being on it for, you know, for life rather
long
than
term. Yeah.
long term, for rather than a quick fix. Yeah, definitely, for sure. But back to the DEXA scan.
So yeah,
You,
the DEXA scan.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can have those, because I just asked Patsy about those.
Okay.
Because I'm worried about osteoporosis for me, because my mum has had two hip replacements. She's in her later 60s now, but she had them in her early 60s. She never did any exercise. She was too busy having lots of babies, and didn't really look after herself very well in that respect. My auntie also has had problems with her knees, and now I'm wondering that actually maybe what I thought maybe was like a running injury. I'm wondering now whether it might be to do with my bone density because of menopause. So Ruth was telling me that you can just have a DEXA scan. You can just look up in your local area who does a DEXA scan, and you can go and have it done.
And is it a matter of they'll do the scan now and then they'll look at you in a year's time and see if it's changed, or is there an average what we should be at, or?
Do you know, I don't actually really know.
Okay.
I assume that you would maybe go back and have a review, because well, yeah, you would just think that would be the case.
It's a bit, all I know, or I'm comparing it to what I know from skin cancer, and you could get kind of scans of your moles, you know, like your mole mapping.
Yeah.
And then you go back and have another mole map in 2 years' time, and they can tell whether they've changed or any new ones. So I'm wondering if it's an ongoing thing.
Do you know, I would imagine so, and I'll tell you why. Because as much as I'm sort of on the fence a little bit about Meg Matthews, you know, she does a lot of work around menopause, you know, highlighting it. And I just watched something with her and Louise Newson actually about osteoporosis, and she had gone back and had another DEXA scan. So yes, I think it is something that you do.
So Ruth says it's dependent on your medical history. So it's an individual thing. So going from that topic, I wanted to talk about your actual classes. So where are your classes? Well, when we're not in lockdown, you're actually doing them at the moment. If people wanted to join you right now at the moment in during lockdown, you're online, aren't you? You're doing
which actually makes
Zoom classes.
Which actually makes them a lot more accessible to for people who aren't in the area, because I'm in Hampshire. I'm near Alton, so I'm sort of between Farnham and Alton. So I have a class in Alton. I've got one in Kingsley, which is just like a little village outside Alton, and I was due to start one in Farnham just before lockdown. That put paid to that. So all my ladies have come online, and they're just tapping in whenever they can. I'm doing them 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 o'clock. I also do a Meno chat as well. So 10 o'clock on a Wednesday before my Wednesday class. It's just a chat, you know, a bit like what we do in the real life class. We talk about dry vaginas, and we don't just talk about dry vaginas, but you know, it's there for whatever people want to talk about. So yeah, the classes, if people want to get in contact, you don't have to be super fit. Really easy routines to follow. If you're not confident, if you haven't been to the gym and you think, oh my god, I haven't exercised for ages, you don't like a gym, you're not a runner, these are the classes for you, because they're really easy, they're really simple to follow.
Is it kind of like a Pilates sort of class, or is it more sort of cardio?
Yeah, it's an aerobic workout. So we'll have a couple of warm-ups. It's a bit like old school 90s exercise, you know, grapevine, that kind of thing.
And if we're online, it doesn't matter that I'm going the wrong way.
No, God, no.
Brilliant.
And also, the thing is, when you're online, you don't have to see anybody else. Nobody has to see you. You can turn your camera off. You are just in your living room or wherever it is, exercising. You can just see me. As long as you can see me and you're doing what I'm doing, then yeah. So it's an aerobic workout. So it's a warm-up, nice gentle warm-up, 2 aerobic tracks. I do strength and tone. So that's obviously to build muscle tone. So with hand weights, you can do one of the tracks I do with hand weights. We'll do some mat exercises, because the core and the back, it's really important to strengthen those. And then some nice flexibility stretches, which are really, really helpful for menopausal ladies as well. My mum, who's had 2 hip replacements, she couldn't even touch her toes before she started coming to my classes, and she can now touch her toes. She can do a plank. She's honestly, it's worked wonders for her and for her confidence as well, you know.
Yeah.
A nice mindful cool down at the end of the session, and it's half an hour online at the moment. The normal classes are an hour. They're 45 minutes exercise and then 15-minute chat.
And what days was it? Monday,
Wednesday, Friday mornings at the moment
at 10:30.
10 o'clock Monday, Friday, 10:30 Wednesday.
Okay, cool. And I'll add all this obviously to the post as well, but I might join you for that. So how much are they, Gayle?
So at the moment, what I'm doing is ladies are just paying a £5, and that means that they can log on 3 times a week if they want, or once a week. It's completely up to them.
Oh wow.
So it's cheap as chips. I normally say
Yeah.
to people as well, just come along, see what you think, and then let me know. And then we don't take ourselves too seriously. It's quite good fun. The music's normally 80s and 90s because that's just because I like that sort of stuff.
You're doing the Zumba without the effect of the Zumba, which is brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really isn't difficult at all. And if anybody just wants to come and have a go, then please do feel free. And I'm also available for sort of if you want to ask questions or just ping me a message. I always get lots of ladies asking about various things, and the most important thing to say is if I can't help, I'm building up this wonderful band of women who can, like Ruth, for example, and others that I'm working with. There's a nutritionist that I work with, and I refer ladies to her if they're having problems losing weight. Building up a really nice network of women who understand. So
and are you sharing those on your, because I've got your Facebook page rolling along the bottom, so Meno Leader Gayle is your Facebook page.
Facebook page is MenoClass with Gayle, but if you at Meno Leader Gayle, I think it takes you straight to there.
It takes it to that. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm just launching on Instagram as well, but I'm mainly on Facebook, so that's where people can find me.
Brilliant. Well, I think unless anyone else has got any other questions, and we've got obviously all the comments that were rolling down as we were talking, so there's quite a lot of referencing and things there, but I will do the blog and add any links. So if you send me any links that you've got, Gayle, or if you've got links to your Facebook page, if anyone else has got anything that they want me to add on to the blog, and then I can upload it to the blog, and then we've kind of got a permanent reference there going forward. But I'll add this actual feed to our little chat today to the blog as well, which was really good. But it's been really good fun. And I think and it's obviously having the word vagina banded around in my room every 5 minutes has been quite disturbing. But hey, that's a conversation with Gayle, the Meno Mouth.
well, that's my new nickname. You see, just we can talk about all sorts. So it's been great, Sophia. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been really good, and thank you, Ruth, for all your input as well. And I'm sure we're going to send a few people your way. But it's been good fun. So thanks a lot, and stay home and stay safe, everybody. And hopefully we'll be out and we can meet up in. Do you think you're going to do any menopause cafes again?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Obviously, depending on what happens with lockdown. Yeah, I'm gagging to get back out there and expand. Really, get out and about there a bit more. Because if people want it, then I'm more than happy to set them up.
Because I know I was bugging you to do a Guildford class before we went into lockdown. So
well, if the interest is there, and I've got the women that are interested, definitely, absolutely.
I think you'll have a few round here if we did.
No, that would be brilliant. I'm all up for that for sure.
Cool. All right, lovely. Well, it's great to see you. When we get out, I need to sort out your eyebrows, don't I?
Yeah, you do, because it's
been too long.
But I'm still doing the old Revitalash. That's
brilliant. Yeah, it's awesome, that stuff.
Yeah, really good. Thanks for that. No,
that's all right.
I'm telling people Yeah, it's good. I'm feeling the difference already, so we shall see
Good.
what happens. Thanks for having
Good.
me, lovely.
All right, and catch up soon. Nice to see everyone.
All right, take care,
Bye.
Sophia.
Bye.
Bye.